Welcome back to episode 2 of G'day from the USA. I'm your host, Lady Amanda, and I thought it would be fun to have a chat about what it's really like for an Aussie living and working in the USA. I'm here today with Kyla.
Hi.
She was born and raised in Oregon in the beautiful but very rainy Pacific Northwest, and she's about as American as apple pie and ice cream. G'day, Kyla.
G'day. Only fitting because we live in Washington, home of many, many apple orchards.
For real?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I've never been to one.
East. Remember when we drove that Fruit Loop?
Oh, that's in Oregon.
No? Was it? Oh,
definitely.
That's awkward.
Definitely could see Mount Hood.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, maybe you don't come from Oregon. Thank you for joining me over a cup of coffee today.
Yes.
I notice your cup has a bar humbug on it.
I may be trying to send you a message for inveigling me into this mess.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm not sure if I'm more surprised there's an episode 2 or the fact that you returned.
Fair point.
How's your week been?
Good. Yeah. It's been a little bit interesting with the weather.
Yes, how's your injuries?
Fine. Just fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for you. Update on the land clearing.
Yeah, land clearing has ground to a halt. We got kind of snowed in up here, probably about 14 inches of snow. So he couldn't get up here and he couldn't see what he was doing anyway because there's too much snow covering the ground.
Well, go back a little to the fact that our land killed his $70,000 piece of machinery to begin with. He didn't even see the day out.
Yeah, it's true. He didn't. He had issues. He threw a tooth, and apparently that unbalances the whole rotary mechanism of the thing, and he can't use it. So,
not good.
Yeah.
The snow, unexpected.
So unexpected.
I mean, I honestly thought we were heading into spring.
I was hoping.
I may be delusional, but I believed in my heart I'd be in the pool in a month.
Yeah, I think you're a little delusional. And let's say for the record that you still could be in the pool now floating.
Kyla has been doing these crazy, crazy cold plunges. And let's just say there was a couple of inches of ice on the pool and she literally was in there 3 minutes.
Yep. 3 minutes is what I aspire to each cold plunge session. You're supposed to get, I think, 11 minutes a week for the maximum benefits. It increases your brown fat, which apparently is better than white fat. Who knows? I don't know.
Never heard of brown fat.
Sounds racist to me, but yeah. And anyway, you get lots of mental benefits from it. You release a lot of neurochemicals in your brain when you subject yourself to what your body thinks is a life or death situation.
Wow. See, I do believe that I get the exact same benefits from a beautiful hot bath.
No.
With like lovely little salts and candles burning. No, I do believe it triggers the same dopamine effect.
I don't know. I don't know if it releases it. The studies that they've released say it's supposed to be like 250 to 500 times the amount of what a normal release of serotonin and dopamine and norepinephrine.
Wow, that's interesting.
So, I don't know if a warm bath does that. I mean, maybe it does for you, but it doesn't for me.
Wow. Okay. We'll have to research this more.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to my plunge today. It's completely frozen over, so I'm going to have to get out there with a hammer or an axe or something and break it up and get in there.
That's crazy. Yeah, so we ended up with, what did we say, about 14 inches of
14
snow.
14 inches.
Which was astounding. I shut down. I cannot leave the house. I mean, I had cabin fever by, did I say fever or fever?
I'm not sure. We'll find out when you replay it.
Let's not listen back. I got cabin fever.
Yeah.
And I finally was able to leave the house yesterday, which was incredible. I was so excited to walk into Walmart.
Yeah, Amanda doesn't do well with, being enforced to stay home
Not at
for
all.
long periods. I'm quite comfortable, quite happy. I can get up to all kinds of mischief out in the snow with the animals and, clearing the sidewalk and making sure we've got enough firewood inside, etc. But Amanda goes stir crazy.
No,
she hates it.
I feel like a prisoner.
Yep.
Yeah. The fact I can't even drive my car, leave the driveway.
She was asking me, she's like, do you want to go down to Battleground and get, some stuff? And I'm like, I said, is that because you don't want to drive in this and you know that I will drive in this? And she kind of had to admit that I was right.
It's possible.
We didn't go, for the record.
No, I really wanted to, and I used all my manipulation tactics. But they failed abysmally.
You know, what she didn't do was like come and snuggle on me, give me some sweet kisses, ask sweetly. Yeah, no, that's not her style.
No. In fact, on this topic of being all sweet, you literally hit me with a snowball in the face. A direct hit.
Okay, well, let's talk about what she said immediately prior to the incident. Okay, she was throwing snowballs at me. I was throwing snowballs at her with, I'll admit, minimal accuracy.
And you started it.
And then she says, "Wow, your aim's not really good." And I was like, "Oh, really?" So
next minute, like a pool shark with laser accuracy,
right to the face,
literally. And you imagine snow, soft, powdery. No, it's like a ball of ice coming straight for me. I couldn't do anything. It literally hit me straight head on between the eyes.
And then what she's not mentioning, I don't know, how many of our listeners get to experience snow on a regular basis, but when that stuff hits your face, it's like 1,000 little knives because it's so cold.
Yes.
And I don't know what it is, but it kind of stings a little bit when it does hit you.
Oh, might as well hit me with a baseball bat.
Oh, we can try that next.
Would have hurt less.
Since you pushed me down the stairs.
Wow. Well, I do recall you blaming me for cutting an inch off the stairs, which effectively was my fault.
Yes. As a matter of fact, when you were doing the stair renovation, you did take an inch off, and I have rather large feet, and I need that extra inch, apparently.
Wow, that's insane. So we went snowshoeing, and that was an experience. We literally walked from our front door up the road. We live adjacent to BLM land. I honestly don't even think we made it that far.
No.
Before I fell over. And if you don't know what snowshoeing is, I'll try to explain it as someone who's never done it before. It's basically these huge tennis rackets on your feet. I mean, essentially, it's what I was wearing. And then you have to walk with these on. But if you fall, how do you stand up? And my feet were wedged behind me. And I couldn't figure out how to get the tennis rackets back under my body. And my hands were just falling through a foot of snow.
I stood back and filmed the incident. Let's be honest. I did not go to her aid because it's a lot of work walking with tennis rackets on your feet through the snow.
And we know I was dragging like half a mile behind anyway. It was straight uphill, and it was hard work plodding along in.
It's like a stair stepper almost.
Yes, that's a perfect description of it.
I did try to warn her before we left. I said, now you've got to kind of keep in the back of your mind that you got these things on your feet, and your feet are about 10 times what they normally are, like size-wise. So when you turn, you got to kind of keep your legs like separated so that you can, maneuver.
And that's where I went wrong.
Yeah.
Every time I tried,
help me. And I look back, and there she is, face planted in the snow.
Oh, that reminds me of the time that I first went sledding. We just went to, it had snowed. We were in Vancouver, Washington. And
we had to find a hill.
Yeah, we just went to a hill, like a regular street, nothing like a deserted.
No, I mean, it was a regular street, but nobody was out because it was
there were people in the street, like kids
sledding,
and everything.
Yeah.
So we had these cheap plastic.
We found these sleds at Goodwill.
Like
we were poor then.
Something.
We were really poor then. And so we'd found these sleds, these bright orange sleds at the Goodwill, and we got them for like $1 a piece or something like that. And I knew that she hadn't really gotten to experience sledding and all that living in Australia. So I was like, we've got to go. And so we did.
Yes, so she demonstrated So you get on this cheap little plastic
Bored.
board that once it hits the ice, it's like, I mean,
No, there's no brakes.
there's no break. So she's like, go fast, push off, push off. So I get on there and I'm like hooning down this hill.
She's on her knees, right?
Fast, fast as it can be. Like, yeah, on my sitting on my knees. You know, I'd kicked off and I was going down this hill, and as it was going down, building momentum, getting faster, and all of a sudden I took a turn, a sharp veer to the right. I had no way to get this back on track. And all I remember is hitting that concrete curb
She came to an abrupt stop.
and
But
face
then not.
planting
She
straight into the
flew.
snow.
Let me tell you, as a bystander, Amanda went airborne for a minute, right into these bushes. Like all you could see sticking out was her back legs. You know, like this. Oh, it was classic.
Right, but there was a very real lack of understanding at this point. Like I was hysterically laughing, yet in
So I thought she was okay.
yet in the worst pain I've ever been in my life because my entire body slammed at G-force speeds into concrete. I might as well just hit a wall.
Well, you kind of did. It was like a 4-inch wall, but you still hit a wall.
Yes. So all Kyla could say was, go again. It was amazing. The problem was I could barely
Like
sit
that's
on
the
my
whole
knees.
idea. That's the idea of it, is that you go really fast down a hill, and come what may, you survive or you don't.
Okay, I barely did not survive. And can I say the bruises I had were horrific.
Magnificent.
Both knees, both legs were just black and blue,
Yeah.
and I basically could not walk for a month. So thank you for that great experience.
You're welcome. Look at how memorable it is all these years later.
Yes, it was crazy. But we also had frozen pipes, which we're obviously not great at this snowing in thing because everyone said to me, did you leave them open? Did you leave the taps open a little? I said, not at all.
And I was at work.
No, you could have. You were there the morning. You could have.
Well, I know, but to be fair, I did have a few other things that I was managing, like carrying buckets of hot water up to the horses,
Excuses.
their
Is that what they
feed.
called.
Yes, they are. Warming up my car, clearing off the foot of snow, and making sure that I can actually get out of our driveway. So I did have a
wish
few
I had
things
some
going on.
violin music to play right now. But world's smallest violin. So basically, it snowed in. We watched a movie, Mean Girls. Had never seen it before. Very entertaining. But I was very thrown back by one part of the movie. The new girl, was it Lindsay Lohan?
Yeah.
Yeah. She went to a new school and she got up. She'd been homeschooled her whole life and she wanted to go to the toilet or the bathroom, restroom. And the teacher said no because she didn't have
A hall
a
pass.
hall pass. And I looked at Kyla and I said, did you have to have a hall pass to go to the toilet at school? You couldn't just put your hand up and say, need to go to the toilet, see you later.
No, we couldn't. You had to have
Astounding.
you had to have a pass on your person, so that if another teacher saw you out, you could be like, "Oh, I have permission to be out of the room, going to the bathroom."
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Australians, but I honestly don't believe. I mean, the schools I went to, and that's never happened, and I've never heard of it happening to anyone.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I obviously never attended school there.
Wow. Obviously, you wouldn't have survived, riding our kangaroos to school and wouldn't have survived. No, I actually love school.
I know you do.
I did not want to leave. Literally, when it got to year 12, I was like, let me
Amanda
enroll
is
again.
the best student. Now, if
I
she
wouldn't
doesn't
say the
want to do
best.
something, she won't learn it. But if she wants to do something, she will learn the ins and outs and literally be the best student you've ever seen. She likes to read manuals for fun, people.
I do.
I mean, who does that?
I mean, when I got my new car, I literally sat there in bed all excited to read the manual.
She read the manual.
I do enjoy that. It is just something I do
Or a
enjoy.
new tool or anything. She
Yeah.
is all about the manuals.
Yes. Let me give you an example. So when I was at school, I can't remember what year I was in, maybe year 9.
Well, it has been a while ago.
Not that long. I was doing art, and I really enjoyed the practical,
Aspect.
actually making art. Mm-hmm. And I got an A. But when it came to the theory, I got an F for the exam because I honestly did not care. And my teacher was so perplexed. She's like, you're a straight A on this, but then you're an F. And I said, yeah, it doesn't interest me.
Yep.
So I'm that black or white.
That sums you up perfectly.
Yeah.
You have not changed, not one iota, in all of your many years.
Moving on.
The look I just got.
Yeah. So I have a dilemma. I started this Days of Happiness project back in the day, 7 years ago. And I've kept it going. I started with 100 Days of Happiness. It was this thing, Facebook challenge going around at the time. And I actually really enjoyed it. By the end of 100 days, I was like, this is actually really beneficial. Like I'm having to think about what makes me happy each day and it's making me happier. Like I'm enjoying it. So I kept going. I went to 365 days. Mm-hmm. Did a year, then I was like, I really actually feel like I want to keep going. So I went to 1,000. Anyway, now I'm on Lifetime of Happiness. I'm up to, pretty much I hit 2,500 days this week. So I thought to myself, I wonder how many years that is, So I did the sort of rough calculation, like 2,500 divided by 365. And I came up 200 days short of what it should have been. Like I know I started October 2015. So I went back on Facebook, went back. And I discovered on November 22nd, 2020, I went from day 1869 to 1670. And it snowballed
Amanda
from there.
Traveled back in time.
I traveled back in time. So my dilemma is, do I go back and change them all?
Oh, man, I don't know. That's a tough one.
I feel like my personality, it can't sit right that they're all wrong. And I'm going to have to go back through 700 odd posts.
And then
that's a lot of work.
I'm going to have to listen to her complain about it every dang day until it's done.
Yeah. So I feel like I probably will end up doing that. But at this moment in time, I find it a complete waste of time to have to sit there for that long. I mean, I'm not on Facebook a lot. I try to post my happiness every day. And if I don't get on Facebook, I'll catch up the next day. But
yeah.
I do actually take a photo and think about the happiness and
from that day.
Yeah, and write. I put it in my notes in my phone and write it down, but then post it when I can. Anyway, that's my thoughts going in my head.
Yeah, I honestly think that you'll end up doing it.
Yeah,
just knowing you a little
probably. So we have had a request from Robbie from Down Under. He wants to hear us pronounce words.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, good.
So I've got a list here.
I'm a little worried about this.
So let's read a few. I'll give you the first one. You read it first and then I'll read it.
Produce.
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 Okay, next.
Basil.
Basil.
That's so weird. Oregano.
Oregano.
What?
Oregano.
This is my favorite. This one is a shout out to you, David Shenton. Herb. Herb is the word. I said
No.
the herb.
This
Herb.
There's something about this word that irks me. It's like leaving off the first letter of water. So just saying water.
No.
It's herb.
No.
Herb. It has an H in front of it.
Herb is a person's name. Herb is a plant.
It's her, by the way.
That seasons your food.
That word. Next.
Wow. Okay, boss. Tomato.
Yeah,
I mean, tomato. That's kind of common. There people probably say that the same
Interesting.
here.
It's not potato.
No, some people will say potato. I mean, if they're being silly.
Who?
Just people if they're being silly. Risotto. Cement.
That's awkward.
Okay. Aluminum.
But
the way that you guys spell it is aluminum.
It's slightly different. I agree.
We spell it aluminum. There's no I before the last U.
You're right.
So,
there is a there is a difference. I have noticed that.
I mean, if I were to read that word, I would say aluminium because of the way it's spelled.
But Americans in general would not say that.
No, because we can't read. I mean, most
You're
of
that
us.
one person.
The one, the only. It's because books were my escape.
4.0 GPA.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. Sounds a little bit different. There's more. I'll start.
Oh, no.
Okay. This one cracks me up because it has a completely different meaning when I say it to when an American says it. Porn. I'll have to show her the word because her face is like, what?
I thought this was supposed to be a G-rated show. Pawn shop, like pawn shop. I'm going to go pawn my stuff so I can get some money.
Yes. But it's
the way she says
us.
it sounds like porn.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, there's a pawn shop. And she's like, what? And it's like a big
We are
P-A-W-N.
not going there.
Agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia.
That is bizarre. Agora. Yeah, how do you get that? It's like AGROP. How do you get that OR
I feel like it's spelled differently. Agoraphobia.
I'll have to research that.
Yeah.
Advertisement.
Advertisement.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Glass.
Glass.
Okay, read this one. I'm going to let you read this bottom one because I don't want to.
Premiere.
Premiere.
And you say premiere. And
Yeah,
we say
I find
premiere.
Yeah, when I hear people say, welcome to the premiere of blah, blah, blah.
Where I'm sitting, the sun is
Blinding
me. Yeah, but it's fine. I'll stay here for your pleasure, your listening pleasure.
Oh, wow. Too far. Okay, so as you know, I'm in the process of becoming a dual citizen. What that means is that I keep my Australian citizenship and passport along with becoming a citizen of the USA, which is exciting. I'm not sure I would be willing or happy to give up my Australian citizenship.
Nor would I want you to.
No, I do love being Australian.
Yes.
I mean, I'm as Australian as Vegemite.
Yep. It's true. She really is.
I mean, really, my accent, same as the day I left, if not more Aussie. Anyway, the update is that I have my biometrics appointment scheduled for early March. What that means is that I head over to Portland, which is in Oregon. We live on a border state. Is that what you'd call it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're on the border of two states, Oregon and Washington.
Which is really cool because you can nick over to Oregon and they don't have sales tax. So if you need a new TV or something
expensive.
I mean, I'd not do this myself because it would probably be illegal. But wink, wink, if you do. If someone wanted to.
If you know, you know.
Yes, and the benefit of living in Washington is we do not have income
tax,
state tax. We have federal tax.
But no state income tax.
Which
Oregon does.
Astoundingly high, but we do not have to pay the additional, 10%, whatever it is. I don't actually know. I'm just making these numbers
roughly
up.
10.
Okay, so I'm heading into Portland and I have to, basically I'll take my photo, fingerprints, all the fun stuff.
Don't they scan your eyeball too?
I'm not sure, possibly.
I feel like they did the last time.
Yeah, an ocular scan.
Yeah.
The ironic thing is I've had this done so many times over the course of living here. Every time I submit another form, like I had to submit a form to work, I had to submit a form to get a temporary visa to leave the country, all these things. But every time I had to go to a biometrics appointment. So, yeah, for the 85th time, I will get my fingerprints taken just to make sure I guess I am who I am.
Yeah.
I'm who I say I am. And the estimated time until the case decision is currently 10 months. It was 16. It has now been updated to 10. So that's sort of exciting.
Yeah, I wonder if there was a slowdown during COVID, with everything.
I think so.
Probably.
I think I did read, and obviously I know nothing about politics, and I choose to stay that way. I'm happy to be ignorant.
It's better that way.
Yes, I get myself in less arguments with everyone. But when Trump was president, he changed a lot of the rules and made the process a lot more difficult. There was, instead of 100 civics questions for the citizenship test, there was 120, and the process was a lot more rigorous. So now that Joe Biden is president, they have cut it back to 100, and they aim to make the process a lot more user-friendly and fast. One thing I did notice was all my other forms that I've had to fill in have been written and you post them off. This one was actually online and there was I don't know what you call it, a disclaimer at the bottom saying that it's in an effort to conserve paper and speed up the process.
Yeah.
And it has.
It takes a long time, I think, for governments to get on board with the updated technologies that are available as well.
Yeah, that's true. So I have my trusty flashcards here. Oh. I'm going to ask you a few of these random questions and see whether your citizenship should be revoked.
What? Good for me, it cannot.
So this is question 81. Who did the United States fight in World War II?
Well, Germany.
Correct.
I think Russia was actually on our side fighting Germany.
There's 3.
Germany, Japan.
Correct. This one surprised me, the third one.
Yeah. Was it China?
No, not at all. Something different that I did not expect was Italy.
Italy. Oh, that's right, because Mussolini and Hitler were of the same mindset.
Interesting. Okay, question 11. What is the economic system in the United States?
Capitalism.
Huh. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, there's 2 correct answers, capitalist economy or market economy.
Yeah.
And that is amazing. I'm impressed. Number 83, question 83. During the Cold War, what was the main concern of the United States?
Was it nuclear fighting, like fighting with nuclear weapons?
Not at all.
I don't know.
Before I give you the answer, these are difficult questions, aren't they? Like you would not imagine an average Joe Blow.
Well, I mean, I'm not super interested in war and all that.
But you would imagine you would have learnt this at
I
school.
probably did. I mean, we probably were taught it at some point.
Right. The correct answer is communism.
No.
But well done. You actually did.
2 out of 3.
I will
I got a
you
D+.
Keep your American citizenship.
Well, that's a relief.
You're welcome.
Considering you want to live here too.
I do live here. We're going to now play our most popular game we have. I mean, I think so. It was amusing to me. Guess the Australian word. It's that time where I get to make fun of an Australian. Okay, number 1, wagging.
That's a dance, isn't it? Like you stick your butt out and you shake it around like you're wagging a tail that you don't have?
No.
No?
It means skipping school.
Oh.
What would you call that?
Playing hooky?
Playing hooky, okay. Yeah. Wagging. I don't even know how that came about. Wagging school today. Wow. I did wag school once. Just once. I was in grade 4.
She started young, people.
Started young. Anyway, I was learning the guitar. So Mum had dropped us at school, and as I was walking in, she'd gone off to work or whatever. It occurred to me I forgot my guitar, and our guitar teacher had said, if you forget your guitar, you can't do the class anymore. So the panic of what am I going to do? I don't have the guitar. So if I'm not at school, surely it'll be okay. So anyway, I went home and sat at the back all day and waited for Mum to come home. And she was so angry. She grabbed me, probably by the ear, dragged me up to the school in front of the class, the entire class in front of the teacher, and said, tell him why you were not at school today.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I had to admit to wagging because I forgot my guitar. Anyway, it half ended okay for me because the threat of not doing the class again was so traumatic to me. But anyway, I did get in a lot of trouble. I did not do it again.
Wow.
I'm sure. Maybe. I can't remember. I'm sure I did in year 12. I
skipped, but I had permission from my mother. So.
Oh, God, you're such a geek.
Yeah.
Kyla was
I'm not proud.
Kyla did not even dye her hair.
I wasn't allowed to. I wasn't allowed to dye my hair. Wasn't allowed to cut my hair. I had to get straight A's. Had to be a great athlete. You know, it was
Yes.
expectations.
I have a question about being an athlete. You know how they call athletes jocks here? Mm-hmm. Would you call a female a jock?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. I did not know that. Okay, number 2, Durries.
Durries?
Durries, Durries.
Oh, that's got to be like a flurry, like a snow flurry. So it's a dust storm.
Ooh, they're cigarettes.
Well, I mean, smoke.
Maybe. I don't even know how that came about either. I feel like we just invent these words, roll with it, and next minute it's a thing. Okay. Sausage sizzle.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is like, all you men better watch out.
Wow.
It's not going to end well for you.
That just went X-rated.
Well, you were talking about pawn earlier. Anyway, no. So that's my first response, but a sausage sizzle. I mean, imagine it would be where you eat some sausage.
Yes. I mean, it is. It's basically a barbecue, usually for fundraising purposes. They have them every weekend at Bunnings, which is our equivalent of Home Depot. Home Depot or Home Depot?
Depot.
Home Depot. Basically, they have them every weekend out the front of the store to raise money for sporting groups, organisations. It's essentially a sausage in a bread, normally on a diagonal. Am I describing this well?
Sure.
Think of a piece of bread, put the sausage diagonally, fold it in two, fold it so it's a little meal in your hand, and you put like grilled onions, mushrooms.
That's what we did when we were kids if we didn't have any hot dog buns.
Tomato sauce.
You'd use a slice of bread.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. So we mainly use bread in Australia. I don't know. Okay, rat bag. I couldn't remember if this was 100% Australian or just a universal word.
That's what you put over a snitch's head.
Rat bag.
Yeah. Yeah, you put it over their head so they can't see where you're taking them to rough them up.
Why would you even think this was a thing? Like, this is what normal people do in Australia.
I don't know.
I'm rat bagging you.
Because you guys are descended from a bunch of criminals.
It is true. No. No, definitely no. It can be a term of endearment or an insult depending on our tone. Like a cute little kid doing something. Oh, you little rat bag. Or it can just be like, oh, you bitch, you know what I mean? You rat bag stole my car.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay,
Creative.
one more. Budgie smugglers.
Is that like...
The cats are just having
The
a
cats
little
are tearing
bitch
around
fight right now.
A budgie smuggler. You guys have budgies for birds, right?
We do. Oh, yes, we do.
Is that someone participating in the illegal trade of budgie birds?
No, they are actually Speedos, like men's underwear. Not underwear, men's swimming costume. Costume bathers. What do you call bathers here?
What would it be? Like swim trunks or
swim trunks.
But not a Speedo. That's what we would call it.
That's what it is, a Speedo.
Gross.
Yes. I know I'm making fun of you, but can I just say I genuinely love America. I love the level of patriotism here. It astounds me. It's like unlike any other country I've visited or lived in. I mean, every sporting event, you're like singing the national anthem. Mm-hmm. Yeah, waving flags. People have flags like outside their house. Like, it's so patriotic.
Okay, I have something impromptu for you.
Oh, God.
To see if you deserve to be a citizen or not.
I feel like I'm going to fail.
I want you to recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one country.
Wrong.
Don't cut me off. Maybe getting to it. One country under God, indivisible by liberty and justice for all.
All right, let me tell you folks how it actually goes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I pretty much said that. I may have skipped to like one word like "and"
Oh,
or
well,
two, but
I'm looking
definitely
forward
pledged.
to replaying this episode in
Yes.
front of you.
It'll be more exciting when I actually have to pledge allegiance to get my citizenship.
Yeah.
Like stand up there and literally pledge it. Yes. Exciting. That's so wrong.
You just made me look out to look like an idiot.
No, I do love how patriotic everyone is. They're very all about America, and I really love that.
I mean, growing up, we had to recite that every single day. We would cover our hearts with our right hand and say that Pledge of Allegiance
At school?
every single day growing up. Through in like grade school.
I mean, I barely remember singing our national anthem. I mean, we obviously did it, but I mean, we have a little chant we do when we're at sporting events, like Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
Well done.
Yes, thank you.
But we don't I don't recall pledging allegiance to a
Yeah.
flag.
Yeah, we're a little weird like that.
No, I love it. I think it's great. Okay, so can we talk about tipping? It's bloody awkward. It's uncomfortable. And it's like at the end of the meal, you've been given a report card to grade the server. So you're thinking about like, okay, extra points for saying she liked my hair, points off for not topping up my water and letting me die of dehydration. Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? It's very stressful. It's like you get to the end of the meal, it's like panic. Like, what do we do?
Oh, I don't find it stressful.
No, because
The
you've
only
been
part I
born
find
into
stressful is calculating out the actual numerical sum because I am not good at math.
this. People have a way of doing it, I have been told, which is double the tax. Mm-hmm. So if you pay $8 tax, you
Then
would
it should be
pay
16.
16. Yeah, we don't tip in Australia. There's no added tax. So whatever the meal cost, it's what it is. So if you pay $20 for a chicken parma, that's what you pay. Mm-hmm. It's not like then $2 tax, then what do we tip? Then, yeah. I was once told that Australians were the worst tippers, and it's made me very paranoid and extra generous. And I'm just thinking now maybe it was reverse psychology and it worked. She could have said it and then I was just like, here's 100% tip. And she had me hook, line, and sinker. But I don't know. I just find it, and I know every one of my family members who comes over also finds the experience stressful and daunting.
Yeah.
It's not something we're used to. My biggest issue, I guess, is that I'll go into a restaurant, let's say Applebee's, because we all know we love that place.
Yes.
Well, I love that place. I do love happy hour, 3 to 6 p.m., my cheapskate side coming
Cannot
out.
beat the prices. $5 appetizers.
I literally pay $5 for chicken wonton tacos. I absolutely love them. They're like sweet chili chicken in these little wonton. Oh, it's just amazing. And it's $5. I'm a very cheap date. When I have to go, I went there the other day and I went at 1:30 or something and I had to pay $10 for it. And
She goes, they didn't taste as good.
they didn't taste as good. I don't know. There's something about $5 dinner that's amazing. So anyway, let's just say we had a great meal. It was $40. The bill's $40. And we're expected to leave 20% tip. That's pretty much the average now. So that's $8. Okay. Now let's say we go to a more upmarket restaurant in Portland, for example. We are there the same amount of time, eat the same amount of food. The server does the exact same amount of work, but the bill is $200 because we got the lobster and a $50 glass of whiskey. Which, I mean, obviously I don't drink, but
I probably would have had to have drank it to tolerate driving over to Portland.
it's true, the bridge. Oh.
Ugh.
Anyway, I'm now giving a $40 tip because the bill was $200. So I basically just bought that guy a new pair of shoes for topping up my water for an hour.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, why should
Capitalist
someone...
hierarchy. If you're a good server and you interview and you get the job at the more expensive restaurant, then that means you get higher paying tips.
Yeah, it seems very prejudiced.
Classist.
Classist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the person working at the cheaper restaurant. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But
Well, there's other states where I think I'm right on this one, where like servers and stuff historically made like $2.50 an hour, right? And then
That's what I was
what
gonna
they
say.
really survived on was their tips.
yes.
And don't get me started on that because I think that's just absolutely wrong.
So my question to that is, why are you making me pay for your staff?
Exactly.
Like, why am I paying the restaurant owner? Yeah. Anyway,
So the
I
person
had a
at the
bit of
top
a
can make
Google
more money.
about that because I was wondering if they got paid minimum wage or less. And it basically said Washington's minimum wage of $15.74 in 2023 is higher than the current federal rate of $7.25. Under federal law and in most states, employers may pay tipped employees less than the minimum wage as long as employees earn enough in tips to make up the difference. This is called tip credit.
Yep.
So essentially, I'm paying for your worker.
Yep. And those workers are expected to file income taxes on those tips that they receive. So when you tip someone with a credit card as opposed to cash, it's much more trackable than if you give them cash. I always try when I tip to give cash because then they can hopefully keep a little bit of that in their pocket,
Yeah, under the table, so to speak.
so to speak.
I did hear that they are taxed at assuming that they got 15 or 20% tips. So if someone did not tip, they are essentially losing money.
Yep.
Which is awful. It breaks my heart to think that. I mean, I've never not tipped.
Yeah,
Even
if-
crappy service, we tip 15%.
Like if you had, like, I've heard of people doing it. I've never done it myself, but if you've had a server who was incredibly rude or, terrible, like terrible, there have been people that have left a penny, and that's basically a giant FU to the person.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's worse than no tip.
Yeah.
Huh.
No, I mean, in my opinion, it would be because you're basically just insulting them.
Yeah, it's not like you forgot to tip
Mm-hmm.
or you can't afford it. It's like,
It's very intentional.
boom. Yeah. So anyway, that is always an odd thing. And I know people that travel here also find it a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, random question. If you could time travel to any point in history, when would it be and why? While you're thinking about that, I think I would go back to November 22nd, 1963, JFK assassination. I think it'd be fascinating to see, was there really a lone gunman or was it a conspiracy?
I'm purely selfish on this. I'd go back to somewhere in the 1800s when I could just ride horses all the time.
That would be your mode of transport.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I think I would really
But
like
how
that.
would you cope with all the extra things like no modern conveniences like having to wash your clothes in a creek? I mean, maybe they had washing machines back then.
I don't know what they had to wash
Washboards?
them. They had washboards,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's all a different pace of life. You wouldn't have cell phones either, which would make lots of time free up. And
Oh, you would think this. She says this with such great, like, oh, you'd free up so much time. Yet she left her mobile phone at home yesterday and wanted me to drop it off at work.
well, she was coming into town anyway.
I've finally escaped that.
She was coming into Applebee's, and I knew she needed to get out anyhow. And so
I was doing you the favor.
I certainly would not have asked her to just bring it in.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't have.
Gotcha. So, do you believe it was a lone gunman or a conspiracy?
I think there were a lot of people that probably wanted him gone. So
It was
I would
very
lean
sad.
more towards
Wasn't he the
conspiracy.
youngest
Yes.
president?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked him. I mean, not that I met him or even was.
I mean, he was a
All
philandering
time.
jerk, but a lot of men in power
Allegedly.
are.
This is true. Okay, what would it take for you to believe me if I told you I was sent from the future?
Oh. It would take you telling me of events that were going to happen
Uh-huh.
and then those actually coming to pass.
Wow. Well, technically, I am from the future because Australia is
'Cause
16
you're older than me?
hours ahead. Oh, my God. That's just insulting. Wow. Just Kyla. We have a voicemail.
Ooh.
Yes, David from Australia called and left a voicemail. I am going to play it right now.
All right.
Hi guys, g'day from Australia. Loved your podcast last week. It was entertaining and informative, and I'll certainly be listening moving forward. Question for Lady Amanda. I just wanted to know what it was like when you first decided to move to the US. Like, I imagine it would have been daunting, but actually going over there, how long did it take you to settle in? Were there any barriers in place? Did people, find it difficult to understand your Aussie accent? All those kind of things. Just really keen to hear about that. I mean, it would be very daunting to pack up and move to another country, and if I did that, I love the US, so I think that would be a place I'd consider, especially I do work for an American company, so the possibility has always been in the back of my head that maybe I could ask for a position over there. Anyway, love your work, keep it up, and can't wait to hear your next one. Okay, thanks guys, bye.
Oh,
that was very
that
nice.
Was lovely. Thank you, David. That is an interesting question. I honestly don't believe I've ever been asked that before. Like, no one has asked, was it hard to move here?
Yeah.
I guess because I just settled in so well.
You did.
That it just looked effortless. But it actually was difficult to adjust. It wasn't terribly difficult. I guess it was just a process. I was very lucky for a start because we moved into this neighborhood in Vancouver and we called it borderline ghetto. I'm sure it was the ghetto, but it sounded better when we said borderline ghetto.
Didn't feel like it when we lived
didn't.
there.
Like, I would walk around the streets at night. Like, it wasn't like
I felt safe.
Pictured as a kid, like being scared of, like
sketchy
walking down the street.
area.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it was definitely not that. I had no problems. Our neighbours were friendly. They were very friendly. Like, we actually liked it there. So, I was very lucky because our neighbour, Chrissa, worked as a nanny. So she would take me to all the little things she did with the kids. Like, I'd go
zoo.
Yeah, see everything in Portland. I learnt my way around. Like, it was amazing. I went on all of her adventures with her, and she pretty much introduced me to Portland and Vancouver, Washington.
Yeah, and we're still friends with them today.
Yeah, the day I met her, actually, I said to Kyla, I'm going to run up and introduce myself to the neighbours. Now, let's just say we had this dingy little basement apartment. We had a slumlord. It was $636 to rent. 2-bedroom basement apartment, very little light. And it was in this gorgeous house, and Chrissa and Sierra and
her friends.
They had this whole, basically
upstairs.
the house, and we had the servants' quarters. So it was a bit of a joke. It was funny. Anyway, I said I was going to go up and introduce myself. So I went up there. She opened the door, welcomed me in. She's like, come in, have a look around. And I was like, wow, these Americans are so friendly. Like, I couldn't imagine doing this to a random stranger in Australia. Like, just like, come in. So anyway, I'm chatting, and then she's like, let me show you around. And then anyway, long story short, she was having an open day for a housemate.
So they were housewarming or something?
No, like they were trying to get someone to come in and rent the room.
Oh, okay.
And so she thought I was there to rent the room, which is why she let me in and was showing me around the house. But anyway, it was quite funny. But thank you, Chrissa. Yeah, still friends today. I mean, 10 years.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. Very lucky to have met her and had great neighbours. The hardest part was not having my own car. So I ended up buying one for $1,500. It ran like a champ until it didn't.
That was how we got started on driving Hyundais. Well, Amanda did.
So I always had this bad impression of
she was prejudiced against them.
But when I got this one, it ran on the smell of an oily rag, and It just was great. I mean, it did have disco headlights on the freeway. Got pulled over.
There was some kind of electrical short.
Yeah, something. It was something to do with there was an air horn in it. Long story short, I just had nothing but electrical problems, and then once that was removed, it was fine. But the clutch went, the brakes went, the window wouldn't roll down, which was always fun at drive-throughs. And yeah, so basically, I felt like I was 18 again and just getting started. I had to get a Washington driver's license. My Australian one lasted a year, and I'm pretty sure I dragged that out for longer. But having to sit the license, having to sit the driving test, the written test, I had to get a social security number, which people are basically given at birth.
Yep, we are.
Which I found odd. It sort of astounds me. Like, you have to use it for everything, to get a mobile phone plan, to buy a car. Like in Australia, we have
health insurance. Anything.
It's
anything.
like you've given this number at birth that tracks you your entire life. So we have a tax file number in Australia for our taxes, but we don't have any number we're given at birth. It's sort of bizarre. So that was sort of an effort to have to do all these things. I found it very easy to make friends. I feel like everyone loves the Australian accent, so conversations just flow. You know, like I'd go to the supermarket and just
I didn't particularly enjoy going anywhere with you because people would just start talking.
And it was,
and like it was like we just needed to get a couple things. Yeah, and it was just...
I'm stuck for 20 minutes talking about riding kangaroos down the street or whatever. Crazy stories I can come up with. But I pretty much felt like a rock star when I arrived, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I was like a little local celebrity. You know, I'd go into Safeway. We lived just up the road from Safeway, and I'd walk up there because I didn't have a car. And it was it made it fun to get out the house because it was easy to, converse. I didn't feel like I was a prisoner. I did find it a little isolating to be stuck at home all day, with no car. So Kyla would come home from work or school and I'd beg to go to the supermarket or the shops just to get out of the house. Mm-hmm. And she's exhausted from,
dealing
working,
with patients and studying.
And I'm just come on, just take me, take me
go somewhere.
Yeah. I was excited to get my first American job though. Well, my one and only.
Yeah.
I've still been there. Just hit 5 years. Woohoo. Working really helped, got me to meet real life Americans and form friendships, which was probably the difference between talking to random people I'd never see again, but actually having friends I could go do things with. And I had Chrissa, so thank you, Chrissa. The other thing that was very difficult was I had no credit rating. So I'd been plopped on this in this country, and it sort of surprised me because in Australia you start with a perfect record. You have a clean slate. You don't have to build it. So if you do something wrong, like you forget to pay something, it'll be a strike against your credit. But to be not given that benefit of thinking I had perfect credit, I had to build it. And I couldn't get a cell phone.
No.
I couldn't get car insurance.
Couldn't get almost anything.
I could not get a single thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a zero. Well, I don't know. Is it zero? I don't even know what the credit rating starts with.
I'm not sure.
I was below zero. I was the worst credit ever.
It's really interesting that, I started building my credit in college. I got my first credit card that had a $500 limit on it. And it's really strange to me and totally and completely backwards that you get more credit with more debt that you take on.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't make sense. The way that they do it in Australia makes a lot more sense to me than how they do it here.
Yeah. I found that was difficult. So I had to rely on Kyla got me a cell phone. Chrissa added me to her car insurance, which was extremely generous.
I couldn't.
It was just, that was difficult. I eventually qualified for a credit card. I think it was a store credit card. Was it Pennies?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was somewhere JCPenney's.
Yeah, I don't even. I literally went in there and used it once and have never used it again. But that established some sort of credit, and I just worked my way up from there. I eventually, I had joined a bank and got a bank account and was able to get a credit card through them. And slowly I just worked my way up. And I want to say My credit rating is well over 800 points now.
Yep.
Like I have.
And the highest being
excellent.
850. So
Yeah, I want to say mine's like 814 or something. Anyway, I went to buy a car. So I eventually upgraded from my, I
Disco
don't know what
Lights.
year it was, Disco Lights Elantra,
Hyundai. Yeah.
that I paid $1,500 for. I'm pretty sure I sold it for like $700 or something.
Yeah.
If that, I pretty much paid the person to take it away. And so I was able to get a new car, but I had to have Kyla co-sign because I still hadn't built enough credit at
Yep.
this point. So I felt like I was pretty much 18 again, starting from scratch with nothing. I did buy a car in 2020 and I was able
Hated
to.
it.
You hated my car?
No, you did.
I did not like it. It was a GMC Terrain. Didn't love it. It was like driving a tank.
Marcia,
Yeah.
Marshmallow. She was a white car, and Amanda did not appreciate that.
I hated it. I said from the start I would never buy a white car, and I walk out the dealership
With a white
with
car.
a white car, and then I regretted it. That's literally the second I drove away. I was like, "What did I just do?" But it was very exciting because I finally was able to buy a car on my own,
Yep.
and I've always had amazing credit my entire life. So to be like I said, I was 18 again.
Hamstrung. Yeah, like where you
Yeah.
couldn't do anything.
That was difficult. I basically had to build my life from scratch again. I always joke actually that when I arrived here, I came with one suitcase. And when we move, I literally have an entire house of crap
Yep.
to move now. And I'm like, how did this happen?
That's why we're not ever moving.
No, now I have so many tools and
Oh, I mean, we've got stuff
Crazy
stashed
things.
away, wood that
I
we plan on
do,
doing projects
yes.
with, or, you name
love
it.
wood.
There's so many things. Yeah.
So that was probably the most difficult. But at the time, it wasn't like I was constantly thinking, "Oh, this is so awful." It was just a fun process.
Yeah,
that I
an
enjoyed. It
adventure.
was just these little snags that would come up. I was like, "What? I can't even get my own cell phone."
Yeah.
Just things like that, crazy. Even internet, I couldn't get.
No, you almost can't even get
Couldn't
like
get
public
internet.
utilities.
No,
Without
I couldn't. That and social security number were the two little obstacles. As for people having difficulty understanding me, yes.
Always.
They still do, I'm sure.
Especially over the phone.
Yes, I'm sure half the people listening to this are like, huh? I can't even tell you how many times I've asked for something and something completely different comes out. Like I've asked for a pecan pie and I'll get a bacon pie.
We lived on R Street.
Oh, God.
And
R
Amanda
Street.
would say Ah Street, and they'd be like Ah Street, and then she's like, no.
Like like rabbit, like R for rabbit. They're like, oh, Rabbit Street. I'm like, no, just the letter R.
Yeah, and so then she'd
Oh,
just
the letter A.
hold the phone out to me, and I'd say it's
Yes.
R Street.
Yeah,
as
I
in
can't.
Robert.
That's true. I can't even do, those automated voice calls where
Yeah.
they're like, who would you like to talk to? Even to
Customer
this day,
service.
I'll say customer service. Sorry, we don't understand that. What about the time? This was funny. I had to call Kyla at work and I said, called her department. I said, can I please speak to Kyla? They're like, sorry, there's no Carla here. I'm like, no, Kyla. Sorry, there's no Carla here. And I'm like, Kyla. I tried to say it, Kyla, like American. Like I tried everything. Anyway, yeah. I think I eventually.
They were like, oh, Kyla.
Eventually
Yeah.
got, but yes. So the way I say Kyla and
It's
the way
like
Kyla
she says it almost like she swallows it or something, like Kyla.
Kyla. Yeah, so many crazy stories. Like a friend asked me to pick up a drink for her and she said, from Starbucks, and she said, light ice. I was like, no worries. I got this. I can do it. So I went to Starbucks, got her a drink, met up with her, and she's like, I said light ice. I said, it's what you got. I looked at the drink and it was literally a cup of ice with maybe a teaspoon of water in it or whatever it was. It was like pink drink something in it. And then it says like on the label, extra ice. So she's like, they probably thought you said lots of ice instead of light ice. Crazy stories. I mean, I've asked for mayonnaise at Starbucks and they're like, a bag of ice? No. I'm like, no, mayonnaise. No, we don't have ice. And it just goes like back and forth so many times that it's just uncomfortable and awkward, and I end up like, oh, it's okay, thank you, bye. And I always just accept whatever the crazy thing they give me. I'm like, okay. yeah, this burrito with extra lettuce, great. Great. That's pretty much it. Thank you, David. I appreciate the question. Like I said, I don't think anyone has asked me that, so yeah, it was interesting.
She handled it with good grace. I constantly think about how difficult it would be to, uproot and move everything.
Yeah.
It's hard to move everything, your life, to another city or another state or, something that's at least on the same continent, much less 8,000 miles away with a different culture and a different, I'll say a different language for her.
It pretty much is. And you can't take everything with you.
No, and you can't take like the things that you might have, that you hold emotionally important to you. You can't take them all with you.
Yeah, that's true. You can't.
Like she left her beloved Milka kitty with her mom.
Yes, that was the hardest bit, leaving my cat.
I would have been happy to try and get her over here, but the cat was a senior at the time, and it would have been very hard on her.
She hit a roof.
Yeah, so
Pretty much like America.
Amanda loved her and me enough to move here, and left her
hard.
there. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't all easy by any means.
No, and I've only been back. I think I've been back twice.
Yeah.
But yeah, every time I've bought a few things stashed in my bag, but you can't bring everything.
Nope.
So yeah, the last time I went back, I had to make the decision Mum didn't want to keep storing all my stuff, so I literally had to sit there and go through bins and bins and bins of things and just chuck, and only the things that I couldn't live without. I think I was left with one little tote, one box of things by the end of it. Yeah, that was hard. Yeah, but I live to tell the tale, live to see another day. Well, thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it. Any final words of wisdom?
None.
None?
I'm not very bright.
Kyla.
It's just, we're good.
Wow.
We're good.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Reach out to us on Facebook. Send us a voicemail. Rate us. What are the things people say?
What do people say?
Rate
I don't even
us. Only give us a 5-star. If you're going to give us a 3, don't even bother. I'm just kidding. I'm not telling you how to vote.
She is.
Yes. But we've enjoyed it, and we appreciate everyone listening last time, and have a great day.
Come on, Australian goodbye needs to end.
Australian
Finish it
goodbye.
off.
Okay.
No Australian goodbyes. Have a great week, people.
Bye.